Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Williamson. You probably know that. At Williamson NFL. You probably know that. But a lot more listeners and especially viewers lately. The YouTube numbers are really up. I appreciate that. Please hit subscribe, spread the word, all that good stuff. It really helps. I very much appreciate it, as does DK. Some more Steeler offensive analysis stuff from last year. And it's really not good, but some different angles. One of them similar. Well, not really. So this is another thing Warren Sharp put out. I urge you to go check out his guide when it comes out. You can pre-order it now. Not that I'm here to, show for Warren Sharp, but he does great work. I buy it. I read the thing cover to cover. And I've stolen a lot of these stats from him, so it's the least I could do. But anyway, he put out a list of 70-plus yard drives last year. And think about it, a lot of drives start on the 30, so 70-plus yards or maybe deeper. But those are long, sustaining, back-breaking type of drives. You walk down the field 70-plus yards. You probably didn't take a sack. You obviously didn't turn the football over. Probably didn't take a back-breaking penalty. It's probably a pretty clean drive. Maybe you had an explosive or two in there. Or maybe you just methodically pounded your way down the field. Whatever. You guys can figure out how a 70-plus yard drive works on your own. So, again, the top of the list. The teams you want to be at. The Lions had 46 drives last year of 70 or more yards. Montgomery and Gibbs behind Penei Sewell with a big gain mixed in from Laporta or St. Brown, Boom. As you would guess, the rival Ravens are right behind them at 44. They're second. That's what they do. It's a great offense. Tampa, a much underrated offense, but a really good running game, had 38. They were third. The Bills were fourth at 34. A great running game, a really good physical line, 6 offensive linemen, really physical offenses. Josh Allen is as physical as they come. And then the last couple ones to round out the top group are Washington and Philly. They were Final Four teams and Super Bowl champions. Had 32 such drives. And your Cincinnati Bengals had 31. Really good offense with the Bengals. They run the ball well, but they throw the ball exceptionally well, as you know. Well, once again, Steelers offense is on the other side of this list. The worst teams in the league. Chicago and Houston. Houston's O-line was a massive problem, but that's a good football team. The O-line was really troubling, though. They only had 17 drives of 70 or more yards. The Browns, a miserable offense that might be more miserable this upcoming year, only 18. New England, with what I think is the worst offensive line in the league and very little around Drake May, only had 19 such drives. And we've come to it, the Steelers. The Steelers were tied for, if the Texans and Chicago were worst, Browns were second worst, New England was third worst. The Cowboys, remember Dak was hurt a lot of the year. Vegas, maybe at the worst running game in the league. And the Steelers are next with only 20 such drives. Simply not good enough. Especially the way this team is built. Power running, Najee Harris, be physical, drive down the field, step on their throat, late in the game, wear people down. And I can almost guarantee it that most of those 20 long drives came early in the season. Has to be. Now, what we've been doing here, I should have probably taken this a step further. The Jets. Again, Rodgers played 17 games. If you rewind a minute in the podcast, the top ones were, of course, Detroit, Baltimore, Tampa, Buffalo, and then Washington and Philly were tied. And then Cincy came in with 31 such drives. But the Jets were next. So I should have mentioned that earlier. They were tied with Arizona and Indianapolis with 30 70-plus yard drives. I think that's a pretty strong reflection on Rodgers, to be honest with you. Just knowing where to go with the football, not make a ton of mistakes. I knew he threw a share of picks, but the knowledge from the neck up, they didn't have much of a line. I think that's kind of promising. Who knows? It's on an apples to apples correlation. You can't just compare the Steelers to Jets and assume Rodgers is going to make all the difference. There's different coaches, there's different players, etc. Like all the stuff we do. But I did find that interesting. And once again, it was an indictment on the Steelers, that this offense has a lot of room to improve, a lot. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, we're deep into the NBA and NHL finals, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days of summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything, with updated odds on MLB, UFC, and boxing to tennis and NFL futures. BetOnline remains your best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. More bad offensive stuff. It's been kind of a trend on these podcasts lately. And this one's going to be a direct shot at Russell Wilson. Now, this time last year, first exposure to Wilson as a Steeler. And this went well into training camp for me too. I was pretty excited. I thought, man, maybe they got something in this dude. Love the way he carries himself. Obvious a professional. Has some leadership stuff. Even when he was injured, he was impressive to be around and how the team interacted with him. Obviously had a lot of success in his career pre-Steelers. So I'm jumping in the Aaron Rodgers deep end with both, with both feet or whatever. And I hesitate to say, am I making the same mistake 2 years in a row? Maybe. But I'm only doing what the sniff test and eyeball test is giving me on Rodgers. And frankly, the more and more homework I do on Wilson, the more disturbing I think it is, and the more he's to blame, not entirely, for their offensive problems, especially as the season went on. He just became too easy to play against. There was a book on him. And this is coming out more and more, but people have kind of told me the last couple months, Steelers really had no interest or excitement to bring Wilson back. They wanted to move on from him. Not because he's a bad guy. He's just not a very good quarterback anymore. So I do think, even though I might be making the same mistake, similar portions of their career, that Rodgers has a much better chance to work out than Wilson. But here's some things I dug up since we talked last yesterday about Wilson. And I can't stress this enough. Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, Pete Carroll have all decided to move on from him. Chose to. Dude, those guys have won hundreds of football games combined. All three might end up in the Hall of Fame. At least one will. They're some of the three best coaches of this generation, not named Andy Reid or Bill Belichick. Great bodies of work. They know how to win in this league. And they didn't think Russell Wilson could help them win. Over the last couple of years, they were all quick to get him out of here. Because I don't think he's good anymore. And here's some numbers that really show that too. He threw checkdowns on 13%, slightly over, percent of his dropbacks. That's the highest percent in the league. So a really high percentage. It was touchdown or check down. It was bombs away, which he was good at. But you can't, the hardest part of quarterbacking is attacking the intermediate portion of the field. That 10 to 20 yard range. You got to have a variety of throws. You got to have arm strength. You have to throw in between the numbers. You have to be gutsy. There's a lot of defenders in that neighborhood, linebackers and safeties lurking. There's a lot of disguised coverages that are designed to give you problems in that area of the field. And he just didn't do it. such a high percentage of checkdowns. Hard to win that way. 3rd and 8, check down, It's hard to win that way. But that was the highest in the league. He also threw the ball away on over 7% of his dropbacks. Highest in the league. Now, Rodgers over his career, very apt to throwing the ball away, even at his best days. But it was kind of different. That version of Rodgers was so interception avoidant, but it was more out of hubris that I'm not going to force this one. I'm going to throw it away because I'm going to rip your heart out on 3rd and 8. 2nd and 8, I'm throwing it away. But on 3rd and 8, I'm going to rip you one for 12. Where Wilson was not always going through his progressions, wasting too many downs at a 7% plus clip rate of just throwing plays away. And plays are way too valuable in this league to waste 7% of them. The last thing I 1000% think will change. So he had the 6th highest time to throw, Wilson. Okay. I mean, that's how he plays. That's how he's always played. But if you're that far into the down and you're still throwing the ball away a ton and you're settling for checkdowns a ton, it's a lot of bad things that can happen late in the down. Those defensive players, especially the pass rushers, aren't going to be kind to you in those situations. And you're putting your offensive line under a lot of stress. And therefore, he got sacked on almost 10% of his dropbacks, which was a very high number. No matter what, I will promise you Aaron Rodgers won't get sacked on anywhere close to 10% of his dropbacks. Sacks are massive drive killers. I mean, other than turnovers, about the worst thing that can happen on an offensive drive is taking a sack. And Wilson did a lot of it. And it was self-induced. So I hate to kick guys on their way out, but there's a reason they're on their way out too. It was I fully endorsed the Wilson Fields experiment last year, especially considering the options they had at the time, which were very minimal, much like this offseason. Didn't really work out. I know that they were interested in bringing Fields back. They had no interest in bringing Wilson back. And I'm not just trying to blow smoke or overreact to just 3 days of minicamp, which don't mean much. But I think this is the best situation you could be in. You got a young 3rd-string quarterback who might turn into a quality 2. But you already have a quality 2. And then you have a clear 1 with a much higher ceiling than anyone we've seen in a long time. And you don't have all that much invested in these guys to prohibit you at all from going to get your stud next year. So I think they handled this really well. And getting away from Wilson was a big part of it, obviously. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you.